Now, in the bio, I talked about how you never charge any money for your services.
Right.
What kind of services do you provide?
Basically, whatever I'm asked to do. I keep it pretty simple. Of course, it's service, it's not helping. So if someone were to come to me and say, I want to commit suicide, will you load my gun for me? I would say that's not serving you. I would decline. But anything I can reasonably and humbly believe can aid someone's journey to self-awareness or to peace, I do. If it's watching their kids, mowing their lawn, helping them across the street, anything. And sometimes...
Well, what are some of the things that you've done? I'm sure you've done all those things.
All of those.
Yes.
And I've worked at times in a law firm on an innocence project, very few hours, but a few, and asked to help get innocent, wrongly convicted individuals out of prison. And the most important service I offer is just the way I'm living, I believe. Not to say that everyone should emulate the way I'm living. I don't advocate that at all. Just by living the way I'm living.
Well, how are you living?
Well,
where do you get, if you don't take money for your services, where do you get money for food? Where do you get money for shelter? Where do you sleep?
I don't, yeah. It's pretty simple. I eat when offered food and I sleep when offered shelter. And surprisingly, in the beginning part of the journey, I spent many a night on the street or on the beach or on a bench, and that was really no problem. And
well, if you're in Hawaii, I can see it's no problem. But if you're in Chicago in December, that can be a problem.
You'd be surprised what the human body can do if it is not worrying about itself. Mm-hmm. And I realize here we are again in an area that we've been taught is not true. We've been taught that you have to be warm and have a certain amount of food and water, etc. And to a degree that's true for the machine. And yet it is stunning how little of those things you need to be completely at peace once you choose to shift your motivations from self-centered ones to selfless ones. And so Hawaii had its own set of challenges sleeping outside. It's never easy sleeping outside. And it's not easy living with no money, of course. I was raised like everyone else with the knowledge or the belief that without money you'll starve, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm still confronted with those fears. But I realize they're fears. And I realize those fears are not based in truth, based on the walk I've taken. People are 99.999, if not 100% good. And we are, as a species, looking for ways to do selfless good. And because our society doesn't encourage that, I am a gift to people in that I'm a very easy target for their latent altruism. Yeah, it's a gift both ways.
Well, living in poverty is nothing new.
Right.
Monks do it,
right,
and have done it since time immemorial.
Right.
Especially in India, I'm aware of monks.
Mm-hmm.
They would beg for the food and teach humbleness.
Right.
What else have you learned? Well, I assume you've learned some humbleness.
Well, that was forced upon me, thank heavens. I wasn't the most humble of people. I had my own set of preconceptions, and the main reason I engaged this experiment was to confront those and have them shattered, and they were. And the way I look at it is if I went through that discomfort and came up with some beautiful realizations, that I would share that with others so they may not have to put their hand on the stove. Mm-hmm. They could see the fact that I have done it, and maybe they don't have to. And they can see that they don't have, no matter how they're living, with it. I'm not advocating giving up your job or giving up your house or your money. The truth I've found is it doesn't matter how much material possessions you have. It matters what you do with them. It matters what your intent is with possessing them. Mm-hmm. And that's something that applies to everybody from CEO down to a home-free individual on the street. So.
Okay, and can you describe various types of intent?
I only know of two. Mm-hmm. My journey has made it relatively simple. I see every moment as a choice between actions that are self-centered and actions that are not. Mm-hmm. And the self-centered ones are grounded in fear, self-survival, instinct, and the alternative are grounded in love. And it's every moment you have a choice when you're doing something loving and doing something fear-based and self-centered.
Well, there's actually a book written by a psychiatrist, Gerald Jampolsky, Love is Letting Go of Fear. Have you read that book?
I haven't, but the title makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, well, this is what you just said is exactly what Dr. Jampolsky was advocating, and he has a wonderful center for attitudinal healing in California.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's one thing in my journey is I did a lot of reading on the journey. The truths that I espoused to people were experienced first, and then the reading came later, which was kind of neat to be affirmed. And no matter what I read, no matter what author or what religion or spiritual belief, it all came back to this dichotomy, to this choice we all have in every moment. Am I going to be a human or an animal? Nothing against animals, but...
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you practice any form of meditation or prayer?
I do, not as a prerequisite to the path. I do it to enhance my sense of gratitude and wonder. I think it makes it easier to serve others when you actively choose to remember that we are one, that every stranger I encounter is my brother and sister, and that the only reason keeping us from being best friends is a lack of time together. And when I meditate and pray every morning and evening, it's to remind myself of that truth.
And how long do you pray and meditate in the morning and evening?
As long as it's right. I tend to avoid any kind of conscriptions or parameters around my behavior. Love, to be powerful, has to be completely volitional, so I don't make myself vow or promise to do anything. As long as meditating is going well, I meditate half hour, hour. If it takes 2 seconds and I'm dialed in, then I can stand up and go serve someone, and every day it's different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you affiliated with any particular religion, or did you study any particular religion in the past?
I was affiliated with several, as in part of the experiment was dipping my feet into those waters. And
is it okay to mention those religions?
Oh, sure. Buddhism and a little bit of Judaism, paganism, atheism, which I consider to be a religion. And of course, intimately I studied the Bible. I wouldn't say I was a Christian, but I certainly have become a follower of the way. Following
the way of Christ? Or?
The way of any Christ. Christ is a term meaning one who has experienced and is living the truth. So Lao Tzu is a Christ and Buddha is a Christ. And I've studied intimately the teachings of Jesus the Christ. And
I don't know if my rabbi would consider himself a Christ.
In the moments when he's selflessly serving, he is, as are we all. It's a moment to moment. It's not a journey. That's one thing I had to release. It's not a journey to enlightenment, this merit badge, this glowing halo that you always have, That's what we all aspire to somehow in these self-help books and, when can I be enlightened? Or when can I be saved? And what I've found is each moment, your choice is independent from your past and future choices. And in the moment when you least want to help someone and you do anyway, you are enlightened. It doesn't get any higher than that. And then the challenge is to make the next choice and the next choice and the next choice and string a life together of enlightenment. But it's challenging, right? Because our brains want us to do other things.